Hi, I'm Monica.
And I'm Frank.
And we want you
to bake this.
Hi, I'm Monica and I'm here with my neighbor Frank.
Hello.
And we're going to make a couple of recipes today. And the first one's going to be cheesecake brownies. Now for this recipe, you can do it a couple of ways. You can choose to make your brownies from scratch if you wish, or if you're more pressed for time or just don't feel like it, any packaged mix will do. I'm opting for the packaged mix today because they come out great anyway. So what you need is just whatever the box brownie mix calls for. The brownie mix, 1/4 cup of water, a 1/2 cup of oil, and 3 eggs. Frank, while I'm doing this, would you put the aluminum foil into the baking pan, please?
Okay, Monica.
The reason we're going to, thanks Frank. The reason we're going to line the baking pan is because we're going to need to lift the whole thing out after they're baked in one whole piece. It's much better for cutting them. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but this is non-stick aluminum foil and it really works best. So just mix your brownies according to the package directions. Remembering to scrape the sides of the bowl as needed. A lot of times in these mixers, the ingredients tend to stick to the bottom, especially depending on the order in which you add them. But it doesn't get much easier than this. Unless you buy them pre-baked, right, Frank?
Yes, that's the only way it could be easier. The only way it could be easier.
And if you want to be doubly sure, even though this is the non-stick aluminum foil, would you spray it, Frank?
Oh, you want to...
Should we, as a double measure?
And where would I find the spray?
Right in that cabinet, Frank. The one with all the baking ingredients.
Very good. Remembering, what is the rule for spray?
Angle the can.
A little is a lot.
Oh, less is more?
Less is more. That's what I was looking for.
That's how I generally feel when I'm around you, Frank. Less is more. So, we're going to bake these, par bake these brownies for 20 minutes. We don't bake them all the way, because while these are baking for 20 minutes, we're going to mix up the cheesecake mixture and take these brownies par baked out of the oven, add the cheesecake mixture, and finish baking them after that. Thanks, Frank.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You know, at least I can do that.
Well, you know what I was going to ask you?
What were you going to ask me?
Maybe you'd set up a double boiler and start melting the chocolate for the piping on the cheesecake brownies.
I can do that as well.
Can you?
Well, I was well trained in that.
Boiling? This isn't how to boil water.
2 squares would be enough, Monica?
You know, Frank, I like to double the recipe because I find that when you're reading a recipe and when it comes to things like the decoration, the icing on the cake, it's more a matter of personal taste, and I like having excess just so I can tailor make it.
Double this. You know, in my house we'd use a microwave for this, but...
But my house doesn't have a microwave.
No, I noticed that.
No, and that is by choice.
Well, we won't get into your choices right now, but the boiler would work. They did that before they had microwaves.
You're just going to have to tough it out, Frank.
It's been a long time since I used one.
When you're putting the brownies into the pan, I like to always spread away from the center and into the corners, because this has a tendency to bake up higher in the middle, and then when you pour the cheesecake batter on top, it's going to disperse the brownies out even further, and you won't have an even level of brownie underneath the cheesecake. So spread the batter into the corners to get a more even brownie layer underneath.
Oh my God, you are so young. It's so good. Let me get the oven for you.
Thank you, Franklin.
There you go. Now how long did it bake for?
That's going into the oven for 20 minutes.
Oh.
And when that comes out, we'll be able to put the cheesecake batter on top. All right. In order to make a cheesecake batter,
yes, I assume you need some cheese.
we need some cream cheese. I've got 4 8-ounce bars right here. And that goes into the...
Does it make a difference what kind of cream cheese you use?
You mean brand or full fat, light, fat free?
Yes, correct.
I think it's best to use, I've got 2 bars of full fat and 2 bars of light.
Here, let me take this.
Thanks, Frank.
I'm here. I was born to serve. What do you have there? I'm sorry.
I've got 2 bars of full fat and 2 bars of light. And if you use the fat-free, the consistency, in my humble opinion, is just not as good. So I like to mix it up just to count a couple of calories. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but...
Well, from the moment I met you, I knew you were the kind of person who'd like to mix it up.
I thought you were going to say, I was the kind of person who liked a lot of calories. Okay, so what we want to do is beat our cream cheese, sugar, and vanilla in a bowl. So I've got 4 8-ounce bars of cream cheese, and I've got 1 cup of regular granulated sugar.
So that would be the equivalent of a 1/4 cup of sugar for every bar.
It would. 1/4 cup of sugar for each bar of cream cheese. It does work out that way.
I'm so smart.
You must have done a math major or something. I never knew.
Well, just for people watching, if they wanted to make half a recipe, they could figure that out.
I don't want to go getting half baked now, Frank.
Well, no, that's another show.
Then we measure our vanilla. The recipe calls for a teaspoon. I'm going to be using a teaspoon and a half. Frank, would you explain why?
Well, when you bake with liquid flavors, some of the flavor actually bakes out. So too much flavor is not good, but just a little more than what it calls for is just right. And Monica understands this, and that's why she's doing it.
I always like more vanilla than any recipe calls for. Okay, so we've got our cream cheese, our sugar, and our vanilla all blended together. Now we're going to add 3 eggs, 1 at a time, beating well after each addition. And I know Frank has a thought on that as well.
Well, I'll keep my thoughts to myself. But if I were doing it, I would just add them all at one time.
Frank likes to throw caution to the wind.
Well, it was good enough for Emerald, it's good enough for me.
Well, Frank, Emerald's in a different league, and I think
I
I
could have cracked the eggs for you, Monica.
Yeah, you could have, but did you? No, you
I
didn't.
can do that. I'm really learning something here.
Which is?
That you can crack eggs just as well as I can.
Thanks, Frank.
And why do you crack them in the bowl, in the cup first before you dump them in the bowl?
Because sometimes you can crack an egg and it can be bad. It could have blood in it, it could be runny, it could be not fresh, and you don't want to crack directly into the mixer just in case.
That's very good advice, just for those people who were wondering.
Well, a lot of people will pour their ingredients straight in, measure ingredients right over the mixing bowl, and
you get eggshells, and you get...
Well, you get eggshells, but also you could spill. You could spill too much vanilla in. You could spill too much of any ingredient in. And you can always add more, but you can't take away.
We want you to bake this.